Supreme Headquarters, Allied Expeditionary Force. Soldiers, sailors, and airmen of the Allied Expeditionary Force. You are about to embark upon the great crusade toward which we have striven these many months. The eyes of the world are upon you. The hopes and prayers of liberty-loving people everywhere march with you. In company with our brave allies and brothers in arms on other fronts, you will bring about the destruction of the German war machine, the elimination of Nazi tyranny over the oppressed peoples of Europe, and security for ourselves in a free world. Your task will not be an easy one. Your enemy is well-trained, well-equipped, and battle-hardened. He will fight savagely. But this is the year 1944. Much has happened since the Nazi triumphs of 1940-41. The United Nations have inflicted upon the Germans great defeats in open battle, man to man. Our air offensive has seriously reduced their strength in the air and their capacity to wage war on the ground. Our home fronts have given us an overwhelming superiority in weapons and munitions of war, and placed at our disposal great reserves of trained fighting men. The tide has turned. The free men of the world are marching together to victory. I have full confidence in your courage, devotion to duty, and skill in battle. We will accept nothing less than full victory. Good luck, and let us all beseech the blessing of an almighty God upon this great and noble undertaking. Dwight D. Eisenhower, Supreme Commander, Allied Expeditionary Force.
On this 70th anniversary of D-Day, we remember the Bedford Boys. 35 young men from Bedford, Virginia, were among the first soldiers to storm the beach in France. 19 of them died. This small town suffered the biggest proportional loss in the nation that day. As Jan Crawford reports, the longest day still cast a shadow over Bedford 7 decades later.
Their faces have an optimism, standing there with their girls. A team photo on the ball field.
That was such a happy time, and these men were all very close.
They grew up together, and as America went to war, so did they. 35 from this small Southern Virginia town in the same Company A, including 2 of Lucille Boges's brothers.
My parents and most all of us went to see them off. We were just kind of saying goodbye, but, you know, we'll see you soon, and it wasn't like they weren't coming back.
But on June 6, 1944, these boys from Bedford, Virginia, with 150,000 other young men, boarded landing craft for the beaches of France for the D-Day invasion. By the end of that one day, nearly 4,500 Allied soldiers lost their lives. 19 of those killed were from Bedford.
We were getting ready to go to church on Sunday, and the sheriff brought the first telegram. The second telegram was delivered by a cab driver.
Lucille Boges was 14 when her brothers Bedford and Raymond Hoback were killed on D-Day.
For parents to lose 2 boys.
I know.
How do you ever get over that?
I don't think you do, because it was strange. Several years after that, my mother had a stroke, and I can remember that we'd be sitting around in the living room at night, and she'd be sitting on the sofa, and she'd say, "Where are my boys?" I want to cry telling you that.
Those in Company A who survived and returned also suffered.
Try not to think of it anymore.
Alan Huddleston saw active duty in Normandy, but because of an ankle injury during training, he missed the D-Day invasion.
Have you thought about, had you not gotten hurt, you could have been on the beaches at Normandy, you may not have come back. How does that make you feel?
Well, I just think I was lucky.
Another Bedford boy who made it home was Sergeant Roy Stevens. Roy and his twin brother Ray both landed on the beaches, but only one survived. Roy's daughter Kathy says for most of her life, her father, who died in 2007, would never talk about that day. He last saw his brother when they set out for Normandy on different boats.
Ray wanted to shake hands with him, and Pop wouldn't, because he said, "I'm going to see you when we get to Normandy." And of course, Ray didn't make it. He was one of the first ones out.
It wasn't until the creation of the National D-Day Memorial in Bedford that Roy Stevens finally was able to revisit the invasion.
That really got him open, because he was able to talk to other survivors, other vets.
This year, the memorial is dedicating a new sculpture to honor the Bedford Boys and to recognize a town that, like so many others in our nation, lost their sons and brothers on one day.
And I've often thought, what if all these men had come back? How would this community be different, and what contribution would they have made? And I just felt like it would have been a better place. And I think that we still sort of cry for them and miss them.
So much sacrifice, a debt we can never repay or forget. For CBS This Morning, Jan Crawford, Bedford, Virginia.
Although we've said a lot, you can never say enough for these young men of courage and consequence.
And to thank them and their families for their service. And the president said this morning in Normandy, when the world makes you cynical, stop and think of these men.
Absolutely.